So you look at those pictures and you're like, wow, those girls are gorgeous. Like, but yeah, it's not affected me, but I definitely think that it could affect younger women.
Some people are more impressionable than others, and others can just, rock what they have. So
I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about my thigh gap, actually.
For the most part, I think I have my own perception of what beauty is. But definitely, I think, images online does influence it a little bit.
There's Photoshop, there's all these things. Young girls don't realize that, but even I know that, but even I'll get affected by it, but you just have to remember that it's fake. A lot of it's fake.
Emily Warenga is the author of Mom in the Mirror. When you see, first of all, those images of what has come to be known as thigh gap, and then you hear the public response to those, what do you think?
Oh man, it's like one big trigger, because I remember when I was 9 years old measuring that distance between my thighs. Only for me it wasn't a trend, it was a desperate attempt to get away from the pain in my heart. So I didn't know it was a trend until a few days ago when I was researching it, and then it scares me because suddenly the whole public is aware of this gap that leads drastically into eating disorders.
And so we know that there are girls, you said, I mean, yourself at the age of 9 already dealing with what you would later come to understand as anorexia, all the way up to adults pursuing this image that in some cases is absolutely unattainable, and in other cases the price that people are paying to get this so-called thigh gap could quite literally kill them.
Oh yes. I believe it's feeding the $62 billion diet industry. They don't care about any number except one that's bigger. Meanwhile, women and girls are dying everywhere trying to get as tiny as they can.
Emily, your book is called Mom in the Mirror, and I know that there's parents watching right now that are probably all of a sudden realizing, wait a second, this hasn't even been on our radar, this so-called thigh gap trend, but maybe they've been noticing signs of unusual activity, or maybe non-activity at the dinner table or with lunches with their children, whether it's girls or boys. What's your message to moms and to dads that are watching right now?
My message is to be the reflection of love that you want your children to feel. So you can't say anything that will inspire them more than your confidence and your lifestyle inspires them. So yeah, be the reflection of beauty that you want them to feel within them.
In so many instances, we've seen people talk about the impact that the media has, and I don't necessarily just mean the news, but I'm talking about advertising, whether it's online advertising, images we see in movies, images we see in the tabloid magazines and things like that. But quite frankly, when you look at something like thigh gap, what seems to be perpetuating this trend is social media, self-uploaded images, websites like Reddit or even Facebook or Twitter, people doing this themselves. Is this what, I mean, are the victims here fueling the trend?
Yes, they are. They're so desperate for attention, which is what all of this is about. An eating disorder is a cry for help because they don't feel seen or heard. So really a thigh gap trend is just another indication of that desperate cry for help. They're trying to separate their thighs, but in reality they're separating their heart from their body.
Emily, I want to direct our viewers to your website, emilywarenga.com, and we'll link to that on our website. But you recently wrote a very high-profile letter that a lot of people are talking about to the CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch, Mike Jeffries, who quite infamously said a couple of weeks ago that they don't market their clothing to plus-size people or quote, to the not cool crowd. How did you get to a point where you emerge out of something that had taken such control of your life, this anorexia, to a point now where you're acting essentially as a spokesperson and an example of what can happen if you find a way to love yourself?
Well, honestly, I was dying. I was 60 pounds at 13 years old, and I was dying on the hospital bed, and nurses said, "Why are you still alive?" And I'm a pastor's daughter, and I realized suddenly all the stuff I'd heard about God was true, and He had saved me for a spiritual and eternal purpose. So that fueled my desire to recover, because I realized my looks are not who I am. I am something bigger than that.
So well said, Emily. I want to thank you for being here today. I wish we had more time, but the good news is Emily is accessible. If this is something that's affecting your family, whether you fully realize it or not, we encourage you to check out the Inside BT link at breakfasttelevision.ca for more information on Mom in the Mirror, this book by Emily Warenga, a recovered anorexic, a book on body image, beauty, and life after pregnancy. Emily, thank you for being here today. It's been so wonderful to connect. Thanks you.
Thanks for having me.
Breakfast Television back with news, traffic, and weather right after this at 6:29 Monday morning. The dawn of a new day, a new week. We'll be right back.